Okay, session 2 we're kicking off, guys. We're going to be looking at doing sauces again, stocks. We're looking at chicken stock first up. So if we have a look down here, Cormac, at our chicken mise en place, we've got our tray ready. So again, I've done my workflow. I've got my mise en place ready, all the utensils, tongs, etc. that I need. We've got our bones in here, and if we see the bones, they've just sat in there for a little while, and you can see all that blood in there. Okay, so one of the key points with doing a chicken stock, very similar to the way we put it together with, or that we put it together with the beef stock, is that we want to get our bones, our mirepoix, our aromats, so we end up with a lovely flavoured stock. We need to be skimming it, we need to be topping it up with water. We're doing a white chicken stock today, where we just have the bones with our veg and our aromats going to cold water. You can actually do a brown chicken stock where we roast the bones off. If I want a chicken-based sauce, I always do a brown chicken stock where we roast the bones. Super delicious, love it, and everyone's going to be, wow, how did you get that flavour of that chicken into the sauce? And you do it by just roasting off the bones. You've seen the technique where we've roasted off bones, we've sauteed off our veg, and we've added our aromats. All I'm going to do now is show you, we've got our bones here. They're really gross looking because they've got blood. The other thing you need to do is just inspect them. Make sure there's nothing in there that you don't want. You don't want to be eating something in there or tasting something that shouldn't be there. And those things do happen sometimes. We're just inspecting it. We might cut off or trim a lot of the fat. If there's too much fat there, guess what? That's going to melt down. That's actually going to go in our stock and later on cause us issues with our skimming, so we just take that off. This is going to come over here. I'm just going to give it a quick wash in cold water. So we've got a lovely clean chicken bone here. What I like to see as well is we've got some wings. Now the wings will give us some really lovely gelatinous aspect with that cartilage and all that meat on that bone. So that goes in there. I didn't put that fat in there, I pulled off earlier. In goes my white mirepoix, and it's white because it's just got leek, celery and onion. There's no carrot or anything else in there, and that goes. So that's going to make sure that our stock stays nice and light. In goes my aromats. Okay. All I'm going to do now with that is top that up with water, and during the next couple of dishes I'll refer back to our chicken stock and we'll just revisit skimming, topping it up perhaps, making sure that the stock's going along the way we want it to do. Again, we're going to cluster cook by using our stove and cooking everything at the same time. Okay, so we've got a continuation of our second session. We're going to be looking now, I'll recap quickly, so we've got our chicken stock on, that's just ticking away nicely. We're going to come next to getting our chicken on for our chicken broth. So again, I've looked at my workflow. I need to get this chicken on cooking, guys. So there's no point having and waiting. Industry needs us to be multitasking. So please learn how to multitask. You're at home, there's no pressure. Push yourselves to multitask. So we've got our chicken here, half a chicken. We've got a little bit of garnished veg, some rice, a bit of parsley. I'm actually going to do a bit of a sneaky one. I've got some ginger, I've got some lemongrass. I'm going to put those in with this broth. I'll just get some cold water in there, and then I'll show you what we're going to do with that lemongrass and that ginger. So cold water again, always in with the proteins. Nice bit of water, we want to cover that. I think it's about a litre or so on the recipe. So now, chicken is on. I've got my green board. So I've just got some lemongrass. I'm just going to use a paper knife. We're just going to chuck. I'm not even going to chop it. I want to take that out later. That goes into my chicken there. I'm just going to tuck him under. I really like this dish. It's really clean. That lovely clear stock. I'm going to make sure that we get that extra turbo boost in there with these other ingredients. Star anise is a really, really good one for this one as well. So we're kind of manipulating this a little bit to bring in those Asian flavours, which I was talking about in session 1. So chicken is on, cold stock, and some aromats. So they're going to move that to the side. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put myself under pressure. We're going to get our velouté done. So the key elements for a velouté is we need a little bit of butter, we need some flour, we need some, again, some flavourings. We've got some mushroom and thyme. So here when we look at this, we need to make a roux. We haven't really talked about roux a lot, but we will when we do it, when we're online, we're discussing our sessions each week when we go through it. This is a blonde roux. Okay, so the blonde roux we use for like white sauces. I like to, a bit old school, like my little favourite wooden spoon. Again, we're controlling that heat. I've got the cluster going. I've got some chicken stock. I've got the broth, and I've got the cooking chicken stock as well. So the key here is we've got to get our flour. This is a thickening agent. We need to gently melt our butter. We don't want it boiling too much. Then we need to put our flour in here. Then it's just a case of, on a low heat, moving that roux around until we think, and I'll show you when I feel it's going to be ready, is we just want it, it'll kind of go really sticky at the start. So the signal for me to know that it's time to add my stock is, yes, the stock needs to be boiling as in terms of the recipe, but I just want to see that roux coming away from the pot, from that stainless, so it'll unsticky itself. Great chef term there, but it'll unsticky itself. It's very Chef Brad to say that, making up words as he goes. So in goes my flour. No laughing, Cormac. So in that goes.
Ding-a-wing.
And I'll just show you that there. Cormac, I don't know if you can see. I'm just bringing that together. That lovely flour with that butter. Get a real smell out of it. And it's really pasty in there at the moment. So I'm just going to work that ever so gently, make sure I'm not putting it too far up the sides of the pot. We're just looking all around. Okay, I'm also looking that I've got my pan sitting really evenly on the stove top, because I don't want a hot spot in here. No hot spots. Hot spots is going to really come through with that flour and that butter burning. So in it goes. It's just lightly cooking there. My stock's nearly ready to go as well, so that's good. If you look at the recipe, I think it says the stock needs to be on a slow boil. So we're going to be adding our stock to the roux at the appropriate time. You can really smell that flour cooking in here. Please don't have the pot up too high. Low and slow, guys, on this one. Slow and steady. All right. So again, we're just moving that around. Pretty close. I can see it's kind of gathering itself together, and it's just oozing when I stop.
It's like a biscuit colour, Chef, is that right?
Yes, it is. It's lovely, actually. We don't really these days get to thicken a lot of sauces with a roux. A lot of kitchens now, because of the gluten-free celiac, they use that reduction method in a lot of bases that we use. Okay, so I reckon it's about ready to go.
And we'll have a little look at that, Chef, just to...
Yep, you can have a look. It's like it's not sticky anymore, it's a little bit, it's coming together, it's coming off the pan a little bit, it's ready to go. So there are different types of roux. You've got a brown roux, so if we were to do a brown sauce and we were cooking that Espanol out earlier, we would actually just we'd use oil for a start instead of butter, and we'd still use flour, and we'd just keep cooking that until it actually went brown, like neutral green colour. And I think in the textbook for stock soups and sauces, it's got some good information on the different types of roux and what they're used for. So again, we'll go through that textbook in our lesson. I'm going to start with a wooden spoon, but I will need to bring in a whisk later on. So now all we do is we're just going to slowly just turn that, make sure it's down. I don't want it too hot. Slowly adding that hot stock in. We just want to incorporate that roux with that stock. It's very pasty. I'm just watching for lumps here. In goes the next little bit of stock, and I'll just slowly add that in again. Once I feel that I could get a whisk into it and whisk it, I'll transfer over to a whisk. Not really trying to like really whisk it hard. It's just having the whisk there to help bring it all together, and then keep it from forming lumps. Once we've got the consistency right, then we'll add in our mushrooms and our herbs. So we'll go one more and then I'll start using the whisk. So it's still just turning over in here. It's just not quite boiling, but I know if I left it, it would boil very quick. So that one's done. Just move that out of the way, Cormac, so you can have a look here. Just give this a bit of a whisk up. You can see it's starting to look, kind of looks weird at the moment. It's this cloudy, kind of off-white looking sauce. We will discuss the uses of all of these stocks and all of these mother sauces, because this is classed as a mother sauce when we're doing our online discussion. The keys with this, guys, is when you're making these, we'll require you to take photos, perhaps of your setup that you're doing in your kitchen, and also of each dish, like you've done with your paper boards on the last couple of dishes that you've completed. So I think another ladle can go in there. Then I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to get my flavourings in. So again, we're going to have to control that heat in here. We just don't want it to let it boil and boil and boil until it burns on the bottom. It will catch really easy. And one thing I'll do just with my spoon before I get my flavourings in is I just want to double check. Because one of the really tricky things is getting right in that corner of that pan, making sure that there's no flour roux in there, stuck in that corner that we haven't been able to get. Otherwise, it's going to cause us a problem later on. It'll burn and it'll have a big lump in there. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. In goes my flavourings. And I don't know, Cormac, you can see that one there. Got our lovely sauce base. I'm just going to season it with our mushrooms and our thyme. A little bit of seasoning, so salt, a bit of white pepper, not too much, just a little bit. And then that just needs to cook out, so we'll come back soon. We're going to look at our chicken broth. Okay, now, heading back and just discussing our chicken stock. So that's been on for a while now. We can see on here, I don't know, Cormac, if you can see in there, but again, as we did with our beef stock, it's come up to the boil, and we're looking here, we've got all this scum from that chicken, all the blood, a little bit of fat in there. So what we're trying to do is take that off. We want to get rid of that. Again, that's going to cause an issue later for our broth or our sauces that we're going to use. Okay, so slowly just skim that off. Try not to lose that lovely flavoured stock base that you've got in there. Otherwise, you're going to end up, again, when it comes to yields and making money, we're going to lose money, guys. If our beautiful chicken bone stock, we're not getting a valuable asset out of or a yield out of it. So we just skim that. That's done. Ready to go. So now with the next thing that I've got ready to go is during that little kind of a break there, my velouté is ready. I've strained off my mushrooms and that have the herbs in there. That's ready to go. That's our mother sauce. So if I was in Cormac's restaurant, in Cormac's Brad, you're on sauces, on grill today, you need to make sure you've got your velouté made, lovely cream sauce, and we want a derivative. We want them to have a garlic cream sauce and perhaps a mushroom sauce. So what I would do then is I'd use that as my base.
So Chef, I see there, so the French term velouté means velvety. So that sauce has a real velvety texture to it.
Yeah, really shiny as well.
Yeah.
For me, a velouté at this stage, it's not something that I just hoe into and eat and enjoy that. Where we get the derivatives from this, like that cream sauce or garlic cream sauce and that lovely mushroom sauce, that's when we can really add some more flavouring in those other finishing aspects to velouté, and that's what we use it for. Sometimes even we do a chicken pie. We use when I was at Subi, we do a beautiful chicken and leek pie. On a Friday lunch, we'd sell maybe 40 chicken and leek pie, and we use a velouté as the base for that. Add more mushrooms and more mirror pie to it. Happy days on that one. Okay, so velouté, tick the box, guys. Stock, tick the box. We're happy with that. Now we're moving to our broth. You can really smell that. So it's a clear base soup, this one. Okay, so I know here this has been going for a while, so my chicken's cooked. So the chicken, we're actually just going to take out of that base. That's going to go just on the side or into the fridge for a little bit. Probably if you're at home, put it in the fridge. Let it cool down. I can now take out, really smell that. I don't know if you can smell it, Paul.
Okay.
This lemongrass and that ginger.
Beautiful.
I should have got some star anise, but I couldn't find it. And that's looking good as well. It's pretty clear, and actually we haven't had a lot of fat through that. So what I have to do now, we refer to our recipe, we've got some really, really finely chopped veg, okay? So I've probably got a little bit too much, to be honest, in here for what I want. So I'm just going to add maybe 2/3 of that. Leek, a little bit of onion, celery, and carrot.
So how have you cut that veg? Is
Just
that
like a little
mirepoix?
brunoise.
Like a brunoise.
It's like a small brunoise. So that's going in, and that's going to add, obviously, a little bit of texture. We're not going to overcook it. It's going to look really pretty in the bowl later on. The other thing that we need to add to that now is just some long-grain jasmine rice. So that'll go in there, and that's for me where this connection comes with that Asian feel for me, because it's got the rice in it. In goes the rice. So that will now probably cook around the same time as that veg. I don't want to boil that. I just want it to gently tick over. I want to be tasting it and seasoning and making sure it's where it needs to be for the next phase, which is going to be adding in the chicken. Okay, so after that last skimming of that chicken stock, I just brought it back to the board, just wanted to check it, make sure it's happy. So let's think back to that beef stock. We had our container with our strainer and our muslin cloth. Same process, guys. So now I don't really need to show you that. Remembering, out in the industry, when the chefs show you something once or twice, they don't want to be showing you again and again and again. So try and just remember, have that notepad there. If someone tells you how to do something, whether it's straining something, passing something, using a piece of equipment, write it down. That's my tip to you. All right, so chicken stock's done. My broth is ready. My rice is cooked. My veg is lovely. It's just got a little bit of texture to it, but it's delicious. Got my chicken. That goes in. Just going to let that cook for a second. It's all ready to go. And then I'm going to serve that in here. Chicken's nice and warm. So I'm just doing like a little soup bowl, a little bit of broth in there. So for me, very healthy, very clean. It's like in certain places around the world, they have some lovely broth bars. So if you're ever wanting to have some broth, make some broth at home. Basically the same technique. So we come along here, so we can go and have a look. We've got our nice chicken stock. It's nice and clear, not a lot of fat in there. We've got our velouté, so that lovely blonde roux thickened sauce, which you can use as a derivative for lots of other things. And then finally, we've got our broth, which is ready to go. If you wanted to serve that however you wanted to, a little bit of parsley on there. Keep it simple. It's the main thing with all of these dishes. Don't overcomplicate it. Impress your friends and family with your cooking, guys. Enjoy.